I might create a tutorial about shape keys, using them in ways they are generally not used, in the hope that people would be inspired by it and go on from there to create their equally interesting and novel animations. This animation uses the default cube. So starting with the default cube, this animation will describe the development of a butterfly from the egg to the adult stage. So we'll select the cube, scale by 5 along the y-axis, press SY, then 5. Now switch to edit mode. Press A to select the cube if your cube is not already selected. Press Ctrl R for loop cuts and double click on the cube. Go down to the options box in the lower left hand corner. Click on it, and in the number of cuts field, enter 40. In the first field right here at the top, enter 40. We want 40 transverse loop cuts, and then press enter. We also want 13 loop cuts along the length of the body, so press A to select the object again. Press Ctrl R for loop cuts. Then move your mouse and make the pointer hover over the object until the loop cut preview appears. Now double click. Go back to the options box again and enter 13 into the top box. Double click again to accept. We also need to apply 13 loop cuts on the top. So press A to select, then press Ctrl R. Double click, click on the top field and enter 13. Double click to accept. I will now make the object cylindrical. So click on the face select mode icon in the upper left hand corner. To create the circular segments, we will need a free Blender add-on called Loop Tools. To enable it, click on Edit, Preferences. Make sure the add-ons option is selected, then click on the search box and type in loop. You will only need to type loop. Go down and save preferences, then close the window. Hold down Alt and click on the face to select all the faces forming that loop. Now right-click, go to Loop Tools, select Circle, and that loop becomes circular. We'll do the same for the next loop. Alt and click on any face on it. Right-click, Loop Tools, Circle, and that becomes circular too. And I'll make the rest of the 38 loops circular in the same way. Now, since this will involve a repetition of what has already transpired, I won't show the actual process of transforming the remaining 37 loops into circular segments. I'll simply complete them, then continue this tutorial after all 40 circular segments have been created. And now, here's our object, now completely cylindrical. You are probably wondering why I went to the trouble of changing a rectangular object into a cylinder when I could just have used the cylinder in the first place. Making transverse loop cuts or loop cuts across the body of a cylinder are easy. It is with making loop cuts along the length of the cylinder that the difficulty arises. I'm sure more advanced users of Blender know of a workaround, but I don't, so that's why I had to use the Loop Tools option. We'll make two quick adjustments here, then proceed to the first stage of the butterfly's development, which is the egg. Click on the Y-axis icon to display the end of the cylinder. We want to fix these faces that are sticking out. Select the entire face. Do it just like I do it. Press SY 0.75 to reduce the front face to 3/4 its original size. Then click on the Y-axis icon to flip it around. Select the front faces again. Press SY, then type in 0.75 to reduce this face to 3/4 its original size also. Click on the X-axis icon to flip the model to its side. Then select the middle loop of faces that coincides with the blue Z-axis line. Click on the proportional editing icon, the white circle with the dot, to select proportional editing. Place the mouse pointer over the cursor and press S for scale. This will produce a circle known as the circle of influence. Roll your mouse wheel backwards until the circle just encompasses the entire model, like so. Without clicking the mouse, move it away from the model until you achieve a shape like the one on the screen. We have just created our butterfly egg. Click to accept this shape. Nothing happens with the egg, so I'll pull up the timeline, go to Object Mode, and add a keyframe at frame 1. The egg maintains its shape for a little over 3 seconds, so I'll add another keyframe at frame 80. The egg makes the transformation to the cigar-shaped base of the lava body, so I'll go to frame 160, press S, Shift Y to scale on the X and Z axis to about so. Use the grid lines for a guide as to how much you should scale it. It's just under 1 meter above and just under 1 meter below the Z axis. Now press SY and scale along the Y axis just a little bit, like so. You scale it to just under 6 meters along the Y axis on either side of the Z axis line, and add a keyframe. I have gone ahead and created more loop cuts on the right side to enable us to create thinner legs. Later, I will also add more loop cuts to enable us to design the wings more accurately. I'll now create the protrusions that form the lava's segmented body. Each of these protrusions, which form the lava's extended sides, will be associated with a shape key and a vertex group. The shape keys are critical. That is how the deformations will be made to produce the segments. The vertex groups are optional. They will only be used as an aid in identifying each segment when we need to. So I'll start with the 5th loop from the front. Just count 5 loops from the front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to about this one. Then hold down Alt and click on it, and that will select the entire loop. Now go to Object Mode, go to Object Data Properties, this green triangle down here in the lower right hand corner. Click the plus sign for vertex groups, double click on the group to rename it, and name it Side Growth 1. Go to the Shape Keys box and click the plus sign twice. We click the plus sign twice because the first click produces the basis shape, which is the original shape of the object we'll be deforming. The basis shape key is the shape key that serves as the reference from which the deformations are made. The second click produces the first shape key. This is the shape key that the deformation will actually be associated with. We'll also name it Side Growth 1. We can expand the properties editor a little bit to see the name of the shape key and vertex group clearer. Now we'll switch back to edit mode. Go to vertex groups and click assign. And this will assign our selected faces to Side Growth 1. So these selected faces are now associated with this vertex group, Side Growth 1. To select the faces, just click on Select in the Vertex Groups panel. And to deselect them, click on Deselect or just click anywhere in the 3D viewport. The selected faces are not explicitly assigned to a shape key. However, you have to ensure that the shape key designated for a particular group of faces or vertices is selected when the deformation for those faces and vertices are made. If you do not select the right shape key connected to a particular group of faces or vertices, the resulting transformation will be applied to shape keys assigned to other parts of the object. This will obviously throw your animation out of whack. So go to the Vertex Group panel and press Select to select our side again. And then making sure the shape key, Side Growth 1, is selected, we'll press S for scale and type 1.2. That will scale it out slightly and make the side bulge a little bit. So there's our side. And now we'll create the animation of the side. because we want to actually see it when the side grows out. To do that, we'll scroll further down in the Shape Keys panel and come down to the value box. The value box controls what is known as the influence of the shape key. The influence determines by how much the transformation you just applied to your object will actually be expressed. If you give the transformation a value of 0, it will not be expressed at all. It would be as if you had not made any deformation to your object. If you give it a maximum value of 1, the transformation will be fully expressed. The beautiful thing about shape keys, which makes it possible to animate with shape keys, is that this influence factor can be keyframed. You vary this influence in this box, which has a slider that goes from 0 to its maximum value of 1. If you wanted to keyframe it to say maybe only about a quarter of its value, you move it a quarter of the way up the box and keyframe it. And the deformation will only be expressed by a quarter of its full value. If you want only half of it to be expressed, you move it halfway up the box and keyframe it, and so on. Now you can't see the deformation taking place now because you can only see that occurring in object mode. Either that or by clicking this box right here, the Shape Key Edit Mode box. If you do that, you can see your deformation occurring while you are working in edit mode. So if I move the slider back and forth now, you will see the side growing in and out. You see how it's growing in and out as I vary the box from 0 to 1. We want the side to start growing out at frame 160, and we want it to complete its growth at frame 170. So with the playhead at frame 160, we'll add a keyframe in the value box. Then we'll move the playhead to frame 170, move the slider all the way up to 1, and add another keyframe. That is our first side growth. Scrub your playhead back and forth, and you can see the side growing. Go to object mode, and you can see the side growth. I'll count 1, 2, 3, and then select the loop for the next side. So hold down Alt and click, and that will select the entire loop. I'll go to object mode, make sure object data properties is selected, press plus in the vertex groups panel to add another vertex group, double click on the first group we created, Ctrl C to copy, double click on the group we just created, Ctrl V to paste. Then just edit it and call this one Side Growth 2. Then go to the Shape Keys panel and press the plus sign for a new shape key. Now double click on the new shape key we just created. This shape key will have the same name as the vertex group we just created. We still have the name of the vertex group that we copied into our clipboard. So just press Ctrl V and then edit it to change it to Side Growth 2. Switch to edit mode. We want to make sure that the transformation we are about to make is associated with the new side we are creating and not with the first side we created. So make sure Side Growth 2 is selected. Very, very important. Scroll down on the Shape Keys panel, then press S and then type 1.2 again to scale out this side by the same factor we did the first one. Make sure the value is 0 in the influence slider and add a keyframe. Move the playhead to frame 180. Move the influence slider all the way to 1 and add another keyframe. Go to object mode and you can see the effect of our transformations. 2 sides added. The second side starts growing out where the first side stops growing. The sides will grow out in sequence. Just as I created vertex groups and shape keys for these 2 sides I just created, I will create more vertex groups and shape keys for the remaining sides. I will then create the remaining sides just like I created these first 2 sides, and I will continue after all the sides have been created. So here are all the sides added. To view them, make sure you are in object mode. You can also see that vertex groups have been created for the sides. There are 11 in all. Each vertex group is associated with each side. 11 shape keys have also been created. The growth of each side is associated with its own specific shape key. Click on each shape key. You can see each side growing out in turn. And just like we did with the first 2 sides, the growth of each side is controlled by the influence box. Each side is 0 at the beginning, and at the end of its growth is 1. We'll still need to add one part to complete our lava though, the antenna. So I'll add a vertex group and a shape key for the antenna. Spin it around to the front. Just click Y so we can view it dead on. Let's make it bigger. Switch to object mode, add a vertex group, and add a shape key. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but these vertex groups are not really critical for this animation. They are merely used for identifying the groups of faces associated with a part that we need to move. So let me quickly rename our vertex group and shape key. Just copy and paste. So we'll Control C real quick, go to the shape key and paste. Now we'll switch back to edit mode, and then we'll select the faces for our antenna. The two antennae will grow out at the same time, so we only need one shape key for both. So first we'll assign the faces for the antenna and select these faces. We'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the top, and then select. Then count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the bottom. Press Shift and select the next one, and then just hold Shift and select the other two squares to the left of them. There we go. This will form the left antenna of the larva and eventually the adult butterfly. So we'll go to the other side, count 5 again from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Select the next. Still holding down Shift, of course. Select the one on the bottom of it. We want our antenna to be symmetrically located on the butterfly. So just click these two squares. Then come down here to the vertex groups panel. Make sure antenna growth is selected and click Assign. So we will always be able to locate these two groups of 4 squares each whenever we need to locate our antenna. You can click Deselect and then select again just to verify that they have indeed been associated with the antenna vertex group. Now we'll make the antenna grow out. So make sure antenna growth is selected, then switch to side view, press G for grab, and then Y to constrain it to the Y-axis, and then move out the antenna about 4 or so. Now we'll keyframe the growth of the antenna. We want the antenna to start growing where the last side completed its growth. That is, at the precise moment where the last side completed its growth, we want the antenna to start its own growth. And this happened at frame 270. Again, making sure antenna growth is selected. We'll go to the influence slider, keyframe it at 0 for frame 270, move the playhead to frame 280, move the influence slider to 1, and keyframe it. So now the antenna will grow from frame 270 to frame 280. If we switch to object mode, you can see the antenna growing between frame 270 and 280. The larva and the adult stage are the two most interesting stages in this animation. In fact, nothing much really happens in the egg and pupa stages. Most of the work we'll do in this animation will be done in the larva and adult stages. And now we'll add the legs for the larva. That would of course necessitate the creation of more vertex groups and shape keys. And as before, I'll create the first 2 legs to show you how I did it, and then I'll create the remaining legs off screen and continue after all the legs have been created. Each leg is associated with a segment or with a side, like I've been calling them. So each leg grows out from each side. Let me add 2 vertex groups and 2 shape keys for each of the first 2 legs I will create. These 2 vertex groups and shape keys will be associated with the first 2 sides. Create our 2 vertex groups and our 2 shape keys. In this animation, the legs grow out from back to front. So the vertex groups and the shape keys for the legs are numbered from 1 to 11 from back to front. Let me quickly rename our first 2 vertex groups and shape keys. I'll call them leg growth 1 and leg growth 2. We'll go to the vertex group, side growth 11, click select, that is the segment right there. We'll need to go under it, manipulate it so you can see under it, sort of like so. We'll use the y-axis line as a guide in selecting the faces for our 2 legs. Count 2 to the right, 1, 2, come down, and then select the second face from the top. There we go. Do the same thing for the other leg on the other side of the y-axis. So count 2, 1, 2, then count, and you don't need to count, just use the face on the opposite side of the one we just created. Now click Leg Growth 1 and click Assign. Now we'll make the legs grow. Go back to Side View. Now make sure the Shape key Leg Growth 1 is selected. Press G, Z to constrain the movement to the Z axis. Then move down about 4 or 5 grid units or so, like so. So there we go. All the legs have been added. We will now make the lava move. And to achieve this effect, we have to make the legs actually move back and forth and make the body wriggle and undulate. So let's proceed to that without further ado. We'll add a bone, add armature. We'll go down to the Object Data Properties, the Running Man icon. Click on In Front. This will make the bone visible through the mesh. Press RX -90 to rotate the bone 90 degrees. With the bone still selected, press GY to constrain the movement to the Y axis and move the bone all the way to the back of the lava, like so. Then switch to Edit mode. Select the tail of the bone. This little knob right here is known as the tail. This is the head and this is the body. So we'll select the tail, zoom out again for a full view. Press GY to constrain the enlargement to the Y axis and move the bone like so until it spans the entire body of the lava. Now the bone takes up too much space and prevents us from seeing the lava clearly. So what I'm going to do is come back to the Object Data Properties. The option that Blender uses by default, the one you usually see in rigging and animation tutorials, is the octahedral option. That was the one that was previously displayed, the octahedral option. That one right there, the one that was too big. So let's switch to the stick option. The stick option is my favorite option because it is smaller, takes up less space, and is just as easy to see. So let me just adjust it a little bit, move it all the way to the end of the lava. Select the body, GY, move it a little bit back, all the way back there. Grab the tail again and extend it just a little bit more. There we go. Now select the body, right click on it and subdivide it 3 times. Subdivide, subdivide, subdivide. This will divide the rig into 8 separate sections. This is the number of sections we need to make the body of the lava wriggle convincingly. Now I'll add the control bones. There is something very critical, something I should mention that is very critical when working with rigs, especially when working with parts like arms and legs. For those parts to flex properly, to bend in the direction that you want, you have to impart a slight bias to each joint. So for our one, we want it to wriggle up and down along 4 separate joints. So at those joints, I will make the rig bend slightly upward. I'll bias it slightly upwards if you prefer. So I'll select this joint, press GZ, then just bend it upwards a little bit, like so. Do that for this other one. And this. And finally, there we go. Now I'll add the control bones. Click on this tail, press EZ to extrude, like so. Click on the bone, hold down Alt and press P, clear parent. Click on the bone properties, uncheck deform. We uncheck deform because the bone we just extruded is a control bone. It will not actually be deforming the body of the lava directly. It will just be controlling its deformation. Then we'll select here, easy to extrude. There we go. Select the bone, Alt P, clear parent, bone properties, uncheck deform. Let me move this cursor out of the way. Hold down Shift key and right click where you want the cursor relocated to. Select here, easy. Select the bone, Alt P, clear parent, bone properties deform. Select, easy. Select bone, Alt P, clear parent, uncheck deform. Now we are going to equip our rig with IK functionality. So select this bone, go to pose mode, We'll click on the bone constraints icon. This one that looks sort of like an ellipse with a bone going through it. Click on add bone constraints. Inverse kinematics. Target is armature. Our bone is this bone right here. So we'll click on it real quickly to learn its name. Its name is on the upper left-hand corner right here. So it's bone.008. Click back on the bone that we want to add IK functionality to. Bone, will add bone.008. That's this bone right here. Chain length is 2. We want it to control 2 bones. We want this control bone to control 2 bones, these 2 bones right here. We won't bother with the pole target because this is a simple animation. So we'll just ignore the pole target box. I'll quickly add IK to the other 4 bones. So click here, bone constraints, inverse kinematics, target, armature, bone. That should be bone.009. This bone right here. The next one in line. Chain length is 2 for all the control bones. Next one, inverse kinematics, target, armature, bone should be bone.010 this time. Bone.010, chain length 2. And last, armature, bone.011, chain length 2. Now let's bind the rig to the lava so that the rig can actually be used to control the lava. Because right now the rig and the lava are quite separate. So if you go to object mode, select the rig, press G for grab, you will find that it's not yet attached to the lava. Let's do that. Select the lava, select the rig. You must select in that order. The lava must be selected first and the rig second. That is critical. Hold down Control and press P and then select with automatic weight. The rig is now attached to the lava. So if you select just the rig this time, press G for grab, you will see the lava moving with it. Now let's go to pose mode and test the rig a little bit. Click on any of the control bones, press G for grab, and move it, and you can see that it's manipulating the rig. Any of the control bones. Now let's step away from the rigging and posing a little bit and make the legs of the lava actually move. For this, we're going to switch to object mode. Click on the lava body itself. I'll click on the object data properties, the green triangle. I'll create a vertex group called legs move. This will enable us to easily identify the groups of faces that make up each pair of legs. So I'll click on the plus icon and we'll rename the vertex group to legs move. I'll also add 2 shape keys and rename them to legs move forward and legs move backwards. Legs move FWD forward and legs move BKWD for backward. I'll now go into edit mode. The groups of faces that make up the pairs of legs are already selected. So what I'll do is go to the vertex group panel, make sure legs move is selected and click assign. Let's make sure the legs have been assigned to the legs move vertex group. So deselect, click select, and you can see that all 11 groups of faces that make up the 11 pairs of legs are selected. Okay, we'll leave them selected. We'll go to side view this time. We'll just click on the X. Now we'll move the legs forward. Click on frame 580. The movement of the legs will start at frame 580. Go down to the shape keys panel. Make sure the shape key legs move forward is selected. Press G, Y, 0.375 to move the legs forward. Go to the influence slider box right here. With the value at 0, add a keyframe. Move the playhead to frame 590. Move the slider all the way to 1 and add another keyframe. Now we'll move the legs backwards. So make sure the legs move backwards. Shape key is selected. In Blender, when working with shape keys, every action is associated with a different shape key. Every pose is associated with a different shape key. I have in the past made the mistake of forgetting to select the right shape key, and that can really throw a wrench into things. To move the legs back, we'll reverse the action we just performed in moving them forward. So we'll press GY minus 0.375. So with the playhead at frame 590, we'll add a keyframe with the influence slider at 0. Then we'll move the playhead to frame 600, move the influence slider to 1, and then add another keyframe. You can't see anything happening because we are in edit mode. But if you switch to object mode and scrub the playhead back and forth, you will see the legs move forward and then move backward. I want the lava to take a total of about 7 steps. So instead of manually creating the remaining steps, I'll just copy and paste the keyframes for these 2 steps we just created. The 2 keyframes we need are the ones where the forward leg movement ended and the backward left movement began, and the one where the backward leg movement ended. These 2 keyframes right here. These 2 that I just highlighted. I'll select this first keyframe, Control C to copy, go to frame 610, Control V to paste, and you can see the legs move forward again. Now if I copy the second keyframe and then come to frame 620 and paste it, you will see the legs move backwards. These 4 keyframes represent 2 steps. So I'll copy and paste them 2 more times for a total of 6 steps. Go to frame 630, paste. Go to frame 670, paste. That will account for 6 steps. Then I'll copy these last 2, just these last 2, and paste it at frame 710 for the 7th step. So now when we scrub back and forth, you will see that the lava takes a total of 7 steps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 steps. Now the lava is essentially walking in place right now. Its legs move, but the lava itself doesn't actually move. That's because we have to move the body separately for the lava to actually move. To do that, we'll select the rig. So as not to mix up keyframes, we'll start at frame 581 when moving the body of the lava. So go to frame 581, add a keyframe. We'll add just a location keyframe since we're just moving the lava. We are not rotating it yet and we are not scaling it. So just add a location keyframe. Go to frame 591. So at frame 591, we'll press GY 0.50. And this will move the lava forward. It will actually move the lava forward as the legs also move forward. And add another location keyframe. So you see the lava move slightly forward. Unfortunately, we can't copy and paste the keyframes for moving the body of the lava like we did when moving the legs. Because if we try to do that, the lava will always try to revert to its last location. This restriction did not apply to the legs when we keyframed them because they simply made the same movements and remained in the same location when we keyframed them. Even though the legs move back and forth and look like they're actually moving, they're really not changing location. That's why it was possible for us to copy and paste them. You will see the same phenomenon again when we keyframe the side-to-side movements of the lava. So let's move 10 frames forward to frame 601. Press GY 0.50 and add a location keyframe. So that's one movement circle. The legs move forward and backward, and the lava body moves forward accordingly. Keyframing the movement of the lava for the remaining 6 steps involves a simple repetition of what I've just done. Let me just keyframe the movement of the body for another step, then I'll keyframe the movement for the remaining steps, and then continue when I'm done. So move the playhead forward 10 frames to frame 611, press GY 0.50, add a location keyframe, move the keyframe to frame 621, GY 0.50, and then add another location keyframe. And now I'll keyframe the movement of the body for the remaining steps and continue after that. So there we have it. I've completed the keyframes for the forward movement of the lava. So if I move the playhead back to frame 581, or maybe just a little bit before frame 581, press the space bar, you can see the lava actually moving forward. So there we go. Next thing we have to do is make the lava move from side to side. As you know, a lava is a living thing, so we will not expect it to be walking in a perfectly straight line. So to make the animation look a bit more natural, we will make the lava also walk from side to side as it is moving forward. To do this, we'll switch to top view. So click on the Z-axis icon for the top view. We'll go back to the beginning of our animation. We'll start at frame 579 so as not to mix our keyframes with the ones we've already created. So go to frame 579, adjust our view. We need to make sure the origin is at the center of the lava. The origin is that yellow dot, which is currently here right now at the bottom of the lava. So we'll click on Object, Set Origin, Origin to Geometry. That will put the origin as the center of the lava. And if you zoom in, you see it right there. You see it right here. So add a keyframe to kick things off. We'll add a rotation keyframe this time. Then we'll go to frame 589. Press arrow Z because we want to rotate it on the Z axis. Press arrow Z and move the lava slightly to the left, like so. We want its antenna to just move slightly to the left of the Y axis line. See, like that. Add a keyframe, I, rotation, then go to frame 599, press arrow Z, and then move the lava to the right this time, like that. Just slightly right of the Y axis line, like so. Add another rotation keyframe. So move it back and forth, and you see our worm move slightly to the right and to the left. We'll add another set of keyframes and make the lava move slightly more this time. Remember, we are increasing our keyframes by 10. Press arrow Z, move to the left. This time just a little bit more than we moved it the last time. That looks good. Add a rotation keyframe, rotation, go to frame 619, arrow Z, move right, like so. That should do it. Add a rotation keyframe. And now I'll copy and paste the remaining keyframes. We can copy and paste the keyframes for the side-to-side movement because the lava just moves from side to side. It's the same values every time. When we copy and paste these side-to-side movements, what it will do is make the lava move back and forth between the positions we've already created keyframes for. That is exactly what we want. That is why we can copy and paste the keyframes for the side-to-side movements. We couldn't copy and paste the keyframes for the forward movement because the lava will continue moving back. It will never move forward. It will never advance. And that, of course, is not what we want. I hope that clears things up. So what I'll do now is select the last 4 keyframes we created and paste them, just like I did with the legs. So here we go. So I'll select 589, hold down Shift and select 599, select 609, and select 619. Then I'll press Ctrl C to copy, go to frame 629, and paste. Then I'll go to frame 669 and paste again. Then I'll just manually keyframe the remaining 2 side-to-side movements to position the worm at the center of the Y-axis. So I'll go to frame 709, zoom in to see things clearer. The worm is to the right of the Y-axis, so I'll press arrow Z, then move it to the left, just like so. Add a keyframe, rotation, of course, then press arrow Z, then go to frame 719. This will be our last keyframe for the side-to-side movement. Press arrow Z, right to the center, right there, so that its antenna straddle either side of the Y-axis. Add a keyframe, rotation keyframe. So our side-to-side movement is done. So if we scroll back and forth now, or I go to the beginning and press play, you can see the lava moving from side to side. And now we'll add the last and perhaps the most attractive flourish to the lava movement. We'll make its body wriggle and undulate. So let's switch to side view again. And for this one, we'll need to switch to pose mode. So select the rig and switch to pose mode. We'll start with this control bone already selected. We'll add a keyframe at frame 582. Then we'll go to frame 592, press G for grab, and then Shift X, and then move the control bone like so until that segment just pokes up like that. Then add a keyframe. Now go to this other bone, the third bone from the back. We'll keyframe it on the same keyframes as this bone right here. So we'll go back to frame 582. Add a keyframe for it. Go to frame 592. Press G, Shift X, just like we did before. And then just coax that like that. Just move that, like move the body a little bit. Just give the body a little bit of wriggling kind of deformation. Like so. Then add a keyframe. So if you scroll back and forth now, you see the one kind of wriggle his body a little bit. Now let's add the keyframe for this bone right here, the second bone from the back and the fourth bone from the back. So we're actually going to use the same keyframes as the keyframes we created for the first two control bones. So we'll go back to frame 582, add a keyframe, go to frame 592, press G, Shift X, and just kind of move that like that in a way that moves this up. We're just trying to deform the larva body in a way that looks natural, in a way that looks like what we observe when we see a butterfly larva walking. So now we'll add a keyframe. Then we'll go to this last control bone, go to frame 582, add a keyframe, go to frame 592, press G, Shift X, and just kind of go like so. There we go. And add a keyframe. You've just seen how I create the poses that make the body of the larva wriggle. So there's no point in making you sit through the creation of the poses for the rest of these movements. So I'll just complete the rest of the poses for making the body of the larva wriggle, and I'll continue after that. So there we go, all the keyframes added. And if I play the animation now, you can see the worm's body clearly wriggling while it's moving. I also went ahead and reduced the length of the legs. I thought they probably were a little too long for the larva. The legs of a larva don't really stick out that much. So there we go, the larva moving, its legs moving, and its body wriggling and sort of like undulating. Let me hide the rig so that the bones are not in the way. I'll stop here for now and complete this tutorial in part 2. This tutorial turned out to be much longer than I expected. I'll try to upload part 2 in about a week or a week and a half. Thank you for watching, and as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until part 2, goodbye.